doing with this YouTube?
The live thing's there. We're just not up yet.
I think we're live.
You think we're live? All right, we're live. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Playing the Artist. This has been a hassle because...
This week's episode brought to you by alarm clocks.
Yeah, Alex slept in. But we're here now, and we're going to talk about 3D portfolios. So, well, what's interesting about this topic is, you know, because you've done hiring before, so, and I've done many interviews before. So, not interviews, but I've been, you know, you've been on one end, I've been on the other end.
I've interviewed more people than I've been interviewed.
Yeah,
I would say.
And I've interviewed no one, and I've only been interviewed for positions. So I'd like to get your take on, you know, like what's it like what you look for in a 3D portfolio, or like what things you see where you're like, why do they do this? Or things are like, I want to see more of this, you know?
Oh yeah, well sometimes when I say that first thing you said where it's like, you know, it's clearly like just not, it's not there for you, it's not working, is like either like sometimes people are just really busy and they don't have time to like finish off the work in their portfolio, and then you kind of like we hired one guy who was really good, but you wouldn't necessarily know it from his portfolio because everything was like a whip, and it was whoops. Oh god. And you know, the funny thing is we did more pre-production for this one podcast than we've done ever before. It's such a shit show.
I know, it's such a shit show, but we're here now because fucking YouTube had to go on us and be like, oh, you know that easy thing that was super convenient for you? Oh, we're gonna take it away.
Yeah.
And I feel like a big lazy piece of shit because like I can't do anything on your end because you're kind of like managing the podcast essentially.
Yeah. Maybe we can change that later. I don't know. Maybe
definitely not. I don't want to do
that. Yeah.
No,
I don't mind doing it. It's just I don't know. It's a learning curve every time.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they don't change it on us again.
Yeah.
But anyways, you're saying let's stay on topic.
Yeah, let's try and stay on topic this week. Or I don't really care if we do or don't, but yeah. So some 3D portfolios are good, but they're just not finished, and then some people are they're just like not. They just don't understand what they need to showcase in this.
I didn't know people did that. I didn't know people showed whips.
Yeah, there's lots of
that's weird.
That are just like lots of just like people's projects at whatever state they're in, you know.
That's the equivalent of someone showing like a college football player showing tape to a university, like a D1 university, and they're only showing like them, you know, receiving a catch and then only making it halfway to the end zone and then cutting it off. It's just like, I didn't show you all. This is like, I made the goal, but I just didn't show you it. You know what I mean?
Well, it's not like, it's not because of like an error or like, I don't know, like the thing with game art, which is mostly what we've been doing, like video game art, is like you can be 2/3 of the way through a project and you can show off like your sculpt, which is important to have.
Yeah, but then just show off the sculpt. Don't be like, oh, this is a whip and like I'm gonna finish it. Just be like, hey, this is a cool sculpt. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good idea. until it's like passable as, you know, the final piece, just as I think that is a bit of an epidemic, is like the sharing your art as a whip. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like if I put WIP on my art, then it kind of gives me this like backdoor excuse for it to not be the greatest thing. And some people's whips are awesome.
Yeah, they are.
Other people's are just, hey, I did this last night, and there's a lot I would like to change about it, but here it is, and it's a whip.
Yeah, well, I think it comes down to people having the urge to have to show something because they're like, oh, if I don't show anything this like month or this week or whatever, everyone and like you feel left out, like you're not doing your role, especially around your peers.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it does a lot more harm. Well, for me, anyways, it does a lot more harm to be like, hey, everybody, this is what I'm working on, and it's not finished because you'll get a. I feel like you'll get a almost like a dopamine hit where it's like people will like be like, oh, here's a like on your whip, and they'll say like, hey, good job, keep up the good work, or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you already get satisfied where it's like, ah, job well done, but you didn't really accomplish anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as you mentioned it, I just want to go back and delete. So I've got a couple of works in progress that I shared, but I just want to delete them now. Because as soon as you make a few more decisions and like make that piece a little better, it's like, well, there's this crappy version of my piece,
Yeah.
but it's like still there. I just want to get rid of it.
And presentation is so important, I find.
Mm-hmm.
People, well, not just me, a lot of people, right? Especially you, as when you're looking at demo reels and whatnot. Well, I guess what I think it's well, I'm not I'm not a professional on it, but I have noticed things that have worked for me getting jobs in the industry, and is don't don't make videos, and if you are going to make a video, make sure you have stills before that video, because a lot of people don't have time to sift through your whole video of it on Vimeo or YouTube or whatever. Because sometimes, let's say they're looking at your demo reel and for some reason it craps out, the internet craps out, and then they'll see maybe one or two things and they'll be like, I don't have time. Let's move on to the next thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get like backlogged, right?
Yeah.
So you kind of want to show a money shot right away to grab their attention.
100%.
Yeah, like the first thing should be like, oh, look at that, man. That's a ball buster, right? That's like the best freaking thing you've ever done. And you're so proud of it. And like, this is like your main thing. And then have some little, maybe one or two things in the middle. And then at the end, you want to finish with something good as well.
Yeah.
But with ArtStation and whatnot, like you can kind of have the way you like everybody uses their ArtStation for their portfolio nowadays. And I feel like what you can do is just kind of archive the way you want your placement of the page on what they want to see first and whatnot,
Mm-hmm.
So you got to kind of play musical chairs in that aspect where you have to place, what's your features and what's your middle act and what's your ending. Sorry, your starter, your middle, and your ending.
Yeah, that's true, I guess.
And
really
don't
tools are like fucking up portfolios, man.
and if you feel something is not up to par, just delete it off your page. Like even though you put like 20 hours or 50 hours or 100 hours in something, and you feel like it's not like with everything else, like for a professional 3D portfolio, just delete it. Just get rid of it because it's just going to hurt you in the long run.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to show everything you've made.
Yeah, you really need to show like maybe three things.
Yeah, and when we were at college, me and you, when we were at the art institution, I remember some of the teachers being like, "You need more content. You got to show more. Show everything you've done." And it's just like, what? What are you talking about? That's insane. That's insanity.
Yeah.
Especially for people that have just like started, like like everything. That's insane. It would harm you. It'd be really weird to show all of that.
Yeah, like having a second. I mean, it's cool to archive all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
Like maybe you need a second blog or something like that for that kind of work.
To look back
That
on
way,
your old work.
if you're in in an interview setting and someone says, hey, you know, do you have examples of life drawing? And then you can actually pull it up and show somebody.
Yeah.
Like it's nice to be able to have that at an arm's reach, but that really shouldn't be in your portfolio for whatever.
Yeah.
Be
Well,
shoving that into people's faces who are just trying to see what, you know, what your best work is.
that's another thing that's really important that you just brought up there is for what job you're trying to get, like you'll need, most definitely you'll need pieces that represent for the job or for the studio, right? Like for example, on my art station, I have this kind of Star Wars-esque sci-fi gun, like pistol. And I made that essentially knowing at the time EA it's already been announced and it got canceled, that they were working on a Star Wars IP. And I made this, and then it was an interview for FIFA, but they saw that gun and they're like, oh, this person could do some Star Wars stuff. And then in the conversation, in the interview, they're like, oh, we might like throw you around, like you might have to like go on different projects and stuff. And they like the fact that I could do this kind of realistic kind of game res stuff. So it's like, you'll be great for FIFA, but then also if we need you to, we could throw you to Star Wars because clearly you can do something that's like in that realm. And that one piece got me a job working, doing a year contract at EA.
Mm-hmm.
So
like, cause it seems almost like counterintuitive advice to like, cause like you're like what you're showcasing is like that you were versatile in that moment, right? And a lot of time you get advice to like specialize at something. So it might seem like counterintuitive, but you're still specialized in your like asset creation skills. It's just like you're getting variety out of what you can do with those skills, even though like that's your specialty. Like you could pick a specialty where like guns are my specialty, but and like you would have this kind of you would present a lot of strength to a team who needs that, but like it wouldn't help you so much in the situation you were just in because that's such a narrow specialty. Whereas if you're something, if your thing is just kind of like sculpting, maybe maybe you're really good at sculpting but texturing not so much, then it's like, you know, that can be applied to many different projects, even though you would have to kind of, you'd have to be on a team that's big enough that you have people to support you where you lack, but
yeah,
you would be found useful to many different projects. So it's kind of a weird thing to pick your specialty, but you know, you don't have much control over it either. You're kind of, you specialize in what comes naturally to you because by now we've built up all these like, you know, you've had enough life experience that you know, things that come naturally to you or because you've already spent time in it, whatever they are before. Maybe you were like a car enthusiast, backyard mechanic guy, and then you go to school and you just happen to be really good at modeling car parts and car bodies and stuff. And like that's just going to be your specialty because you're like, you might as well be like kind of walking uphill trying to do anything else, but you know you have such an advantage in this one field. If that,
yeah, for sure. But having said that, it all depends like what you want. Like if you're just trying to put a roof over your head and and food in your mouth, then you really should, you know, play to the strengths of what a studio want. I'm gonna phrase that differently. For what a studio wants, right? Because the studio doesn't care your passion for, you know, Pokemon sculpts. You know what I mean? Or your passion for rocks. Even though a lot of studios would probably really like a guy that just makes rocks. Like or the your artistic merit. They just want to see you make the work. They just want to see you make, like, you're dependable, right? On like the the money the money that they're giving to you is justified because they're giving you thousands of dollars, right? So it's great you got all these other little tiny things, but at the end of the day, it just matters that you're right for the job. And it turns out the job requires a lot of different hats sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And the specialty thing, I don't know. Specialty, I think it's kind of falling down on, well, in games, I see anyways. Specialty stuff is more of along the lines of like rigging and making shaders and stuff like that is really important, right? Like there might be a car guy that's like just does like vehicle stuff, but for the most part, they'll get tasked to do other stuff too, like other assets and whatnot. You know what I mean? But they're not going to just do cars. As like a person that does materials, that's all they're doing is just materials.
Well, yeah. Well, it depends which project you're on, right? Like
Of course.
maybe your project has a lot of cars, maybe it has no cars, and then I don't know. Well, yeah, it's like the needs of the project are going to determine who's hired, and
Yeah,
you know,
it's also
something doesn't mean you're going to get every single job out there.
oh yeah, yeah.
So,
It's just about the studio too, right? Like if you make a bunch of like structures and like buildings and stuff like that, you'd be great for FIFA because like they do a bunch of stadiums like every year, right? They make new stadiums and stuff like that. So they're like, oh, this person can make structures and stuff. So it's like, sure, we'll hire you. But if you're working at I gotta give an example here. If you're working at I don't know, Bethesda, and the only thing you model is anime girls, they're gonna be like, no, thank you. We want shitty looking human models instead. Why does Bethesda have such shitty models, man?
I don't know, dude. I think it's just like an old studio, and they're just like.
Do you think it's
like, people
legacy?
have been making it since it was like a 2D game,
Yeah.
something like that, and like they're just like learning skills on the side, just like a normal person would, I guess.
You mean people are grandfathered in?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because
studio, and it's hard to get a job there. Like I know a lot of people who are I thought were pretty good artists,
and they couldn't get jobs
they
there.
have a difficult time getting internships there. So
That's weird.
I think it's like there's not a lot of turnover, and it's a long queue to get in there.
Yeah. Well, maybe in another 30 years, once they start retiring and dying off, people can get, maybe they'll have better models.
Yeah, that's another like in the industry as a whole. I think like these kind of like there's a lot of veterans who refuse to kind of learn the new tools, but they're like in pretty they're influential. They're pretty influential in the projects, right? So it's like it's like really having a modern pipeline, like a modern modeling pipeline, is a lot more rare than you think. I feel like, when you go on Polycount or ArtStation and you see people's tutorials of like how they're doing things, and you're like, oh, that seems very progressive, and like, yeah, that's like the tools I should learn of the day.
Yeah.
But a lot of places are just still using Maya and like baking with I don't know, whatever.
X normal.
Bake it. Yeah, maybe.
Dude.
Yeah.
There's studios that most definitely still do that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's free software, right? So, yeah, that's a
yeah. You don't want your education to end when you get that first job.
Oh, totally, dude. That's if ever somebody asks me, not often, but people that do ask me about like what I do and like what they, and they're interested in like kind of games or 3D or whatever, I tell them like, you got to keep learning, man, like all the time. Like even though I'm like getting out of the video game industry and pursuing my own thing, I'm still like willing and looking for different techniques to prove, or different little skills that will give me an edge on producing more work that I want to make. Right.
Well, now you have to like.
Oh yeah.
You're in now. There are like a dozen YouTube tutorials sitting right there on how to do, high level sculpting for miniatures. Right. There isn't a big giant community for it yet. It's kind of it's a very small community, and I found information is tough to come by. You know, when I was getting into the 3D printing thing and how to prep your models for it.
Yeah. But it's well, that's the thing though. It doesn't matter if you're doing illustrations or 3D modeling or materials or programming. You got to keep moving the bar because the bar moves with or without you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's progress. Progress can never be stopped. It's like it's like a I don't know. It's like a weed, like with like no sun or no like anything. It'll keep growing and keep pushing forward, and it will devour you or leave you behind, or you know what I mean. So you got to keep tending to it and keeping your ear to the ground, as they say. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
And then once you're super old and you have a down payment and kids, maybe then you can hang it up and just not stop learning. But
You gotta be so good at something like that's almost like your process becomes like very like iconic almost, and people
yeah,
want to see you do
irreplaceable.
thing.
Like that's what you want, right? Because like me and you, well, not me right now, but well, me technically when I got laid off, my contract got short. You know, I'm replaceable, right? But you're less replaceable because more time has been invested in you, and you have more of a manager. What's the word I'm looking for? Manager skills. You know what I mean? You have those kind of those who have been built on you.
Mm-hmm.
So you're harder to replace. You know what I mean? You're still replaceable, but you're a lot harder than I was to replace. Like me, it's like just throwing, like, I don't know, it's like just throwing stones into a river. Like I was just a peon. Like I'm just so replaceable. Like when I was like, the only factor I had was like, oh, he's worked here before and he knows people. So, and he knows frostbite, a bit of frostbite. So you know, I get pushed ahead a little bit more in the line. However, though, there's people out there that have way better portfolios than me and less and more experience, and they could easily, you know, if I just leave or slip up or whatever, like it could easily just be like replaced like that, and it's true. So you got to just keep moving that needle or whatever. Oh, hey, here's a topic. So if people want jobs, they're probably going to get their jobs from people they went to school with. To be honest, the only reason I've ever worked at EA is because of the people I went to school with. All worked at EA.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Like,
So be nice to people.
a lot of like going to college and stuff gets a bad rap, and I've like, you know, criticized it plenty of times, but yeah, it is kind of, it's very like, it is very helpful, not for what you learn, but just for the like, this is like the just the environment it puts you in, and not everybody has the drive to learn something unless they're, you know, in that environment, and
Hmm.
you know, it's like when you go to school, it's also kind of socially enables you to focus on your things, you know, like if otherwise, like, you know, if you're going to school, then, you know, everybody agrees, oh, let's let Antoine focus for 2 years on his thing, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not weird. But if you're like, no, no, I'm going to learn this on my own in my basement for 2 years, it's going to not work.
You got to be super drive,
I'm just
dude.
going to go into debt and for 2 years, and I'm just going to learn something on YouTube on my own.
You can
Everybody,
do that.
what the fuck is this guy doing? People are probably going to come like have heart to hearts with you. Like somebody's going to get annoyed with you, which is, and maybe you don't care about that, and or maybe you have a situation where that doesn't apply, and that's great. But then you also don't. You also lose like, and maybe the internet's changing and making this easier, but like having all those peers to work right next to,
Yeah.
driven was like that was like bigger than anything.
Oh, dude. Like I the stuff I learned at college was probably, I don't know, like it's just the fundamentals. And then everything that was more advanced, I learned it by hanging around with you, with Kevin, and a bunch of other people. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's like probably the only reason why I like even got a job or even had skills to pay the bills is hanging around with people that were better than me. So if you want a job, hang around with people that are better than you.
Yeah, or just people who are like who've got the drive, you know,
Yeah,
like
the drive. That's it.
who are gonna like so that way you're not putting in those hours alone, you know.
Mm-hmm.
There's somebody there to bounce things off of and just talk to, just be there with, and
For
talk
sure.
about problems with. So,
Yeah. What was your first like at your first year? What was it like?
my first year,
Yeah, at
oh man, I had so
yeah.
much credit card debt. I had like $12,000 of credit card debt that I had to like figure out right away, and I was making like 30K. Like my salary was 30K Canadian, so it was like really hard to. It was like, yeah, it was really hard. I mean, at least I was making something because in school you're not making anything.
Wait, you were working when you were in college?
Oh, my first year of college or my first year of work?
No, first year of college. That's what I was talking about.
Oh God, man, can you imagine starting college with debt? That would be the worst.
Ugh.
First year of college was like pretty awesome. Cause like when I go to college, it's like okay, I'm on the path now and I'm
Yeah.
doing the right thing, and you don't, and especially when you're first going, you don't have that pressure of like I need a job tomorrow. It's like you've got some kind of loan situation figured out. Like once I had my like a place to live because I was moving here from Alberta and I wasn't exactly sure how that was going to work.
Yeah.
A place to live and I could like just have space to focus and just go to school, like get myself to school and focus on. I was just working 12 hours a day, like just on art. I was just really enjoying it. It wasn't even working. It was just like very enjoyable.
That's great.
Yeah, I don't know. It was awesome. I don't know. I really enjoyed it. I think
My first year was brutal.
Getting to meet everybody.
Yeah,
I don't know. I was a lot more antisocial then, and
that's true.
people like Kevin who are really out like would annoy me with like how like you know forward they are and like just how like I don't know, very social people.
Yeah.
And like here, oh, let me show you this thing, and and you're learning stuff, which is great. But here it's also like, hey, I'm from a small town in Alberta. I'm not used to all these city folk coming up and talking to me.
What are you talking about? People in Alberta talk to people all the time. What are you talking
Yeah, they're
about?
friendly, but it's like I don't know. It's different. It's always talking about quads and the Oilers games and that sort of thing.
Well, that's good. My fucking first year was not good. I
Really?
I was a bad student, dude. I don't know, just drinking like I would have crazy house parties with the house I was in. I was in this house with about like 7 other dudes, and every second week we would throw giant house parties, like ragers, and like the cops would like come to our house like I don't know every time pretty much because we'd have parties like 3 o'clock in the morning and have like 50 people there at our house, and I just wouldn't get anything done, right? I would have like no money all the time, and I wouldn't do my work, and yeah, I just wasn't focused. And then I started getting more focused once I like left that house and started and moved a little closer to the school as well. Like that's something that's really important. Like if you're out on your own and you're not living at like your parents or whatever, try to live closest as possible to the school because you'll just like for me, I didn't have any computer, right? So I had to work around the hours of the school and just go there like every waking moment essentially. And yeah, so if what I should have done is I should have like maybe went traveling or something. somewhere.
You just didn't feel you were ready or mature enough.
I wasn't mature enough. I just wasn't responsible. Like you had an upper hand on like a lot of kids. That's what we were. That's what I was, essentially a kid at college, right? Because you I don't know, you've had a job, you've had a girlfriend like that you like lived with, and you know what I mean? Like you were more lived, you kind of understood like responsibility, and I didn't know that, and I just like literally wasted a whole year pretty much doing nothing, and then had to do catch up and being like, oh yeah, I have to like I have to get a job after this, right? So
well, yeah, like I feel like before school, I had like already settled into a life that I could see the end. Like I could see down the tunnel of where if I just keep working these kind of jobs, like where your life goes.
yeah,
A very clear view of that, and it was just like I just knew it was
terrifying.
that was motivating and terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that kept me focused a lot. Yeah, having that little bit of experience of just like just like what I don't know, just the life path that was just not my jam.
There's a there's a quote by Confucius. He says, all men have two lives. The first is the life they're living. The second is knowing they only have one life.
Okay, what?
I think I fucked it up. It's something like
I don't know the quote, so I don't know if you had or not.
life. There's two lives that a man can live. There's two. Okay, sorry. A man has two lives: the one they're living, and the one that they I forget it. I can't fucking remember. Something important that makes you inspired and you want to like keep living.
There you go.
Something like that.
I just got some feedback that like our audio levels are a bit quiet, so I'm gonna try and pull this closer to me. And I don't know. I tried boosting the audio in my broadcaster, but man, it's the same problem we were having last night when we were like.
Are you serious? I thought we fixed it.
Yeah, I don't know.
You don't know? Ah, for fuck's sakes. Did you cut out? I just lost you. Can you hear me, bud? Because I can't hear you. I think it's down. Yeah, I lost you. All right, it seems like I'm still streaming right now. So thanks for joining another podcast of Playing the Artist. Please leave a comment. Please subscribe to us. Please leave a like. And if you want us to talk about anything, leave it down below. Maybe we'll talk about it and our past experiences being in the 3D world. Anyways, I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.